Today on the Big Six in 60, the Thunder finish off LeBron and the Lakers.
Thanks to A.J. Mitchell's composure and star power,
The Cavaliers tie their series with the Pistons.
What I think is one of the best second halves that anybody in Cavaliers history has played.
And the Avalanche take a 3-1 lead over the Wild.
Avs with a big 5-2 win.
This is the Big Six in 60, the 6 biggest national sports stories from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big Six in 60 starts now. Thank you for making the Big Six in 60 your first listen of the day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Thunder finished off the Lakers' sweep behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and another late-game push. Rylan Stiles with Locked On Thunder has the recap.
the Oklahoma City Thunder getting that sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers in this Game 4. And thanks to A.J. Mitchell's composure and star power in this contest, SGA, of course, was clutch. Isaiah Hartenstein had elite impact as well. No Luka, no J-Dub, and the series is over without those two guys gracing the hardwood. The first sweep in the second round or later for Oklahoma City in team history. The first time starting 8-0 in the playoffs in team history. The second straight trip to the Western Conference Finals for Oklahoma City, and the first team since the 2018 Golden State Warriors. They were pretty good, huh? To get out of the second round as the reigning champions. That's what Oklahoma City is. They're a great team. They're an all-time team. They proved once again they're the best team in basketball. They proved once again their margin for error is so great that if you want a chance to beat this team, you've got to play perfect basketball for 48 minutes. Not good, not impressive, not average, not decent basketball. Perfect basketball if you're going to beat Oklahoma City. Because if you leave that door ajar, Oklahoma City will break it down. And in this game, it was impressive to see what the Lakers did. You know, it was not 1-2-3 Cancun for LA. They continued to fight for 48 minutes and largely felt like they were in control of this game. And yet they never led by more than 5 points. The Lakers were the better team to close the first quarter, to close the second quarter, and to close the third quarter. You know, despite that, they lose by 5 and they get swept by Oklahoma City. And again, credit to the Lakers' resolve, because the Thunder went on a 17-0 run to start the second half where the Lakers were held scoreless for 6.5 minutes, and yet the Lakers still made this a contest more so than anyone else has. The first time Oklahoma City has been pushed all playoffs long. The first time that a game felt like it was in jeopardy for Oklahoma City. Down 4 in the fourth quarter. The momentum on the side of the purple and gold in this historic venue against this historic player, where it's not the time to deliberate if he's the best of all time, but he's certainly second, if not number one. The biggest brand in basketball on the road, and you saw Oklahoma City deliver again. You also saw what was a fantastic game. It was Shai dancing in the mid-range, hitting that killer three as well. It was A.J. Mitchell getting tough buckets. It was LeBron slicing to the lane for the slam. Austin Reeves, the over-the-head pass and tough bucket, back and forth, answers left and right. Big-time swings late in games. After OKC gets up by 6, they let a 4-point play up. And then Marcus Smart has the N1 to take the lead with 40.9 seconds remaining, and you probably forgot exactly how the playoffs felt. This was the first time, May 11th in the year of our Lord 2026, that you felt playoff basketball if you're a Thunder fan. And OKC gets it right back with Chet slamming it home. They force the miss. Lakers let way too much time tick off the clock before fouling Shai. 8 seconds expire. OKC goes up by 3, and then the Lakers, they get the shot off, a clean look from beyond the arc that doesn't fall. Caruso, the massive rebound, with 7.6 ticks to go. And the Thunder win 115-110 after A.J. Mitchell salts the game at the free throw line. 13 lead changes, 7 ties. OKC once up 12, Lakers once up 5. The Thunder lost the rebounding battle 46-37, but they were a +8 in the turnover category. That was a massive swing. A massive swing for the Lakers to keep this competitive as opposed to what we've seen play out over the first 3 games of this series, where it's been an 18-point win for OKC, another 18-point win for OKC, and a 23-point win for Oklahoma City, is the fact that the Lakers didn't just hang around points in the paint. They were a +2 in the paint, which by the Thunder metrics, right, is the Lakers dominating the paint. Because seldomly do you see the Thunder even let a team be close to them in paint points, and even more rare, a team beat them in paint points. And that's what the Lakers did today. Lakers were also a +2 in second chance points, while the Thunder are +3 in fast break. OKC shot 52% from the floor, though, 35% from deep, just like the Lakers did, and 83% at the line. The Lakers shot 50, 35, 88. Again, you can't take anything away from the Lakers' effort, the Lakers' intensity. For the majority of this game, the Lakers flat out wanted it more. For the closing segments of the first quarter, the closing segments of the second quarter, the closing segments of the third quarter, the Lakers not only wanted it more, they out-executed the defending champs. But then the fourth quarter came. And despite the fact that we're going to get into the fact that Chet Holmgren could not have played a worse game if he tried today, he makes big-time plays down the stretch. A.J. Mitchell, the understudy for J-Dub, second-round pick, second-year guy, still hasn't played 100 career NBA games, was the lifeblood of this team, was the lifeblood of this series. And then SGA. It took a while, folks. It took longer than anybody would have imagined. But SGA broke out to end this game in the clutch as the clutch time player of the year and as the soon-to-be announced eventually, at some point, whenever the NBA decides to, the 2-time back-to-back MVP. Isaiah Hartenstein was huge. Jared McCain, timely. Alex Caruso, timely. We'll get into all of that coming up. But most importantly, you look at a game like this, and it should continue to solidify for you, to crystallize for you, that you're not only watching the best team in basketball right now, you are watching a historically great team in little Oklahoma City. They took on the Lakers. No Jalen Williams. Oh, by the way, the number 2 scoring option, the All-NBA swingman, who also made All-Defensive Team last year. No, he didn't play a single second in this series, and you swept. Chet Holmgren taken out of this game. Shea largely taken out of this series as a scorer until tonight at the end of the game. The Lakers largely controlled this game and had the momentum on their side, and you're on the road, and it's the toughest game to win. The closeout game, the toughest one to win. You had all of those factors at play here, and through 8 playoff games, you've had to be on the edge of your seat once. You haven't lost a game yet, and you swept this series despite all of that. In this game, kind of culminating in the fact that you really did see the absence of Jada be felt. You saw it in the ways that they couldn't avoid the defensive slanted lineups around Shea to try to shake him loose. You saw it in the ways that Oklahoma City couldn't close these quarters strong. And part of that is because, again, going back to what you can do with your lineups when you do have Jalen Williams, right? Because you had to take AJ off the floor because he had to be ready to play the start of the second quarter and the fourth quarter. Now, all of a sudden, you're down a co-star, you're down someone who's hot. Whereas if you had the option for J-Dub, it would have been smoother sailing. You avoid it, you kind of overcome all of that and get a sweep. And it's important to note, even as you know these Lakers are not contenders, even as you know these Lakers didn't have a chance to win this series, even as you know these Lakers didn't have Luka Doncic, it's still incredibly hard to sweep an NBA playoff series. It's also incredibly hard to sweep LeBron James. Look at the list of teams who have swept LeBron. And you didn't have your fastball tonight, and you largely didn't have it this series for the first halves of these series. And still, Oklahoma City walks out of here with a win. Great teams are the only ones who are able to overcome those obstacles laid out. Oklahoma City's a great team. They will go down as a great team, an all-timer. And that's what you're enjoying in OKC. We have a lot to get to today and a lot to get to throughout the week here on Locked On Thunder because it's every single day, multiple times a day, folks, even as the Thunder now enjoy yet another long layoff as they swept the Lakers, waiting upon the winner of the Spurs and T-Wolves series to see who will join them in the Western Conference Finals.
The NBA playoffs are here, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. It's a really easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. The Cavs evened the series with the Pistons behind a monster second half from Donovan Mitchell. Danny Cunningham with Locked On Cavs breaks down the win.
We have to begin with what I think is one of the best second halves that anybody in Cavaliers history has played. So Donovan Mitchell went into the locker room on Monday night with 4 points. I believe he was 1 of 8 from the floor at that point. It was far below his standard, far below what the Cavs needed from him in this, in my opinion, must-win game with their season on the line against the Detroit Pistons, down 2-1 in a Game 4 at home where, I would not trust this team to come back from a 3-1 deficit. I don't know why you would. Given what we had seen from this group this year, they needed more from their best player. They needed more from the guy who is their MVP candidate, the guy who they believe is the best player in this series, no matter how good Cade Cunningham is as a basketball player. They needed more than what they got from Donovan Mitchell in the first half. And Donovan responded by having what I have to think, given the circumstances, is the best second half of his career. So, like I said, he had 4 points at halftime. He had 39 in the second half. He was 12 of 18 from the floor in the second half. Got to the free throw line a ton. Was able to get downhill. Was able to strike from beyond the arc. He did every single thing that the Cavs needed him to do. He put on what was one of the best performances in the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know how many guys, if any, other than LeBron James, that have worn a Cavaliers uniform are capable of doing what Donovan did in the second half on Monday night. Every single thing that he needed to do, he went out there and he executed it nearly flawlessly. He was every single thing that the Cavs needed in that half and more. He scored the first 8 points of the second half. So first half, 4 points. That's it. Well below his standard. It took him exactly 68 seconds to better that in the second half. Hits a floater on the first possession. Gets an and one on the second possession. 5 points right there. Hits a three-pointer on the third possession. Cavs start off on an 8-0 run. JB Bickerstaff has to call a timeout. The Cavs go from being down by 4 points to up by 4 points in less than 100 seconds into the half. And it doesn't stop there because that was... And the Cavs scored the last 2 points of the first half, so this is part of that run. But when you go back to, which was an Evan Mobley dunk, I believe, when you go back to the end of the first half where the Cavs scored the final 2 points to cut what was a 6-point Detroit lead to a 4-point Detroit lead, they then scored the first 22 points. It was originally 23, and the NBA took a point off of Donovan Mitchell's total because I guess his foot was on the line on one of his three-pointers that turned out to be about as long of a two as you can have. But they scored the first 22 points of the second half, and Donovan Mitchell was a huge part of it. His third quarter was outstanding. It was every single thing that when you envision the very best of Donovan Mitchell, that's what that third quarter was. He played 7 minutes and 35 seconds. For 7 minutes, 35 seconds, so he checked out a little bit before the 4-minute mark with 4:25 left on the clock. In that 7:35, Donovan scored 21 points on 8 of 9 shooting, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 3 of 3 at the line, and I know that there is a lot of conversation about the free throw disparity in this game, and we will talk about that probably more so on the full edition of Locked on Cavs. That'll be in your inbox first thing on Tuesday morning. But he did most of his damage at the free throw line in the fourth quarter. He only took 3 free throws in the third quarter. He did this with incredible shot making. He did this with an incredible way to get to the basket at will. He did this because at a certain point, what you need your best guys to do in the postseason is what Donovan did in this game. When the game is in the balance, the way that it was, you need your best guy to look in the mirror and say, enough's enough. It's time for me to take over this game. We have not seen many guys in Cavs history that have been capable of doing it quite like this. Obviously, LeBron comes to mind. Kyrie Irving, I think, is in a different category because Kyrie was never the best player on teams that were good in Cleveland. So I look at this and think this is it is a rare thing to see. This second half is exactly why Donovan Mitchell is a superstar. Because, like I said, there are not many guys in Cavs history capable of doing this. How many guys in the NBA right now are capable of going out there and having the second half that Donovan Mitchell had in a must-win situation? And I know that Donovan has never made a conference finals. I get that. And maybe that changes maybe on Friday or on Sunday. We're having a podcast talking about how for the first time in Donovan's career, he's made it to the conference finals. Cavs have to win two of the next 3 to do that. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's moments like this where even though Donovan hasn't reached that part of the postseason yet, that he's a winner. Because when the Cavs needed him to be at his very best, after a half in which he was far from his very best, he went out there and looked like the best player in the world for 24 minutes. I'm not going to sit here and say that he is the best player in the world. I don't believe that to be true. But for those 24 minutes, if you just bottle that up, it's hard for you to convince me that there are guys better than that. Now, that's not who he is consistently. If he were that consistently, this would be a very different conversation. But the fact that he went out there for those 24 minutes and dominated in a must-win situation is exactly why Donovan Mitchell is a winner in every sense of the word. The success, the team success, I think is going to follow because now the Cavs are in a much better spot in this series. And we will talk about like the big picture aspect of this a little bit later on the next edition of Locked On Cavs. But to get this type of effort from Donovan in a must-win spot is why he's a franchise player. It shows you what he's capable of. And that is everything that the Cavs needed. Like, of the 60 points that the Cavs scored in the second half, Donovan Mitchell had 39 of them. In a moment where it is do or die. Like, the Cavs got off to a great start in this game. Their starting lineup, which I, got to raise my hand, really was doubting that. And that starting lineup had not been good in this series. Starting lineup was really good in its first stint. Won its first stint and looked awesome really until, oddly enough, Asar Thompson got into foul trouble and had to check out and Karis LeVert came into the game. And the Karis LeVert wheel landed on LeBron James on Monday night. Like, he was Detroit's best player, and I don't think anybody imagined that being the case. But the Cavs were in a tough spot where they're down by 4 at halftime. And the starting lineup played well, but none of the other lineups really worked. Like, they had some moments, they had a few big shots that they were able to hit to keep things close or maybe retake the lead. Like, Sam Merrill hit a three-pointer that gave the Cavs the lead in the second quarter. But it was a game that, after that start in the first half, didn't feel great for the Cavs. They needed this type of response. And this, to me, it's more than just about Game 4. This kind of performance is a statement where, like, Cade Cunningham is, I don't know if he's going to finish first team All-NBA because of the collapsed lung thing, like the fact that he got a waiver to be eligible. I don't know what the voting is going to look like for that. He had the best season of anybody in this series. Like, he had a better season, I thought, than Donovan Mitchell. He had a better season than James Harden, Evan Mobley, and obviously everybody else on the Pistons. Like, I think that any MVP votes he gets as far as, like, 4th or 5th, I'm not saying that anybody should have voted him first, but, like, they're well-deserved. And Cade is an awesome player. But this is the type of statement that Donovan Mitchell made that says, no, I am the best player in this series. And I went on this podcast and said I would take Donovan over anybody in this series, and it's because he's capable of doing stuff like this. It's because when the Cavs' backs were against the wall,
The Avalanche have pushed the Wild to the brink after Parker Kelly delivered the go-ahead goal of Game 4. Chris Maselli and Zach Pearson with Locked On Avalanche go inside the win.
Avs with a big 5-2 win in Minnesota in Game 4. Now take a 3-1 lead in this series. If you're just looking at the score, don't, because this game was it's weird because it was much closer in score, but we'll get to stats and stuff like that. I thought the Avs played a great game. I thought this was one of their best games, really, of the postseason, eliminating that Game 1 where you scored 9 goals, like a fluky 9 goal. You know what I mean? But I don't say fluky 9 goals and people think like, oh, they didn't. No, they earned those goals. You know what I mean? This was a solid performance from the Avalanche. Even when they got down by a goal in their barn, crowd is rowdy. The stick-to-itiveness is the word that I love. And the Avs did it. We'll get to all of it. I thought this was a great game overall. Give me your thoughts.
It absolutely was a great game overall. But if you watched it on ESPN, you lost a lot of what could have made this a phenomenal game to watch if you're a Wild fan or an Avalanche fan. Because how are you going to drop a goal? How are you going to not broadcast a goal? You're ESPN. Right. Goals should be the only thing you care about, and you missed it. Add on top of that, you have audio problems throughout the whole thing. He keeps turning into robots randomly for no reason whatsoever.
It's like Daft Punk was DJing this game or something. Yeah.
And then you have 2 chunks, at least 2 for me. You said you only saw 1 as we kind of briefly hit this before we
could have missed the other one though. Yeah.
But into the game, crunch time, the pressure's on and the screen goes black. The audio's still there, but you can't see a thing happening. And these guys, they're not play-by-play like radio guys. They're not calling it in a way that you can picture it in your mind. I can't believe that they take away from the local broadcast to give it to something that terrible. Give the rest of the playoffs to TNT. Get ESPN out of it. I'm done. That's the end of my rant.
The worldwide leader was anything but.
It was so bad.
The one with the Kadri goal, that was their first goal. Like that's a big. ESPN has this obsession with interviewing players in game. They feel like they have to do it, and I hate to tell them, nobody cares.
Yeah,
nobody cares what the players are thinking in the game. Talk to them in the intermission. Like it's this, you can still get that stuff. You don't need to do it in game, but. And obviously that's pre-recorded, obviously, because Quinn Hughes is not going to be on the ice talking to Eric Johnson while they're scoring. So it's pre-recorded. Come back from break early. Come back from break early so you can get that in full if you have to do it. So then we don't miss anything, because you don't get that excitement of hearing the announcers announce the goal and all that other stuff that goes on. It was a rough go of it for ESPN. You are 100% accurate there. So they do it in baseball all the time where they're interviewing players while they're playing. I just don't get it. Nobody cares, ESPN. Interview them in the intermissions. And because what happens in the intermissions, that's where you get the good stuff. Because we got it in this one after the McCarron interview where he goes off and says that Josh Manson is dirty and he always has been. Them's fighting words, and that's the stuff that you're not going to get that on the ice. You're going to get that right when you got it, intermission stuff. That was great.
I agree. I actually, the interview made me angry, right? I don't want to listen to a guy who, I have no problem with the hit. I want to preface it with this, but he finishes his check after the play. Again, totally legal. No issue with the hit. Then you lay on top of Manson. And then you get mad when Manson wants to punch you in the head. Manson probably shouldn't hold his stick and punch him in the head. That's not a good move. Easily deserved of a 2-minute. I'm even fine with the 4-minute if you throw the embellishment, because McCarron acts like he just got like 2-hand chopped.
Yeah.
With that stick.
I don't know, man. Like I said in the Discord chat, like I thought Manson was going to be gone.
The butt end is not a good. You can't.
And apparently there is a specific penalty for that. I don't think anybody really knew that. And it is a double minor, and that's what they gave him. And I feel like he lucked out to get a double minor. That's
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think when you watch it, you see what he alluded to in the post game as well. He's not attempting to jab. It's not like a spear. He's not. I don't think he's using the stick to go for injury. I think he's trying to punch a dude who's laying on top of him, and his face is right there. That's why I think it stays as a double and not a major and a misconduct, is because it does look more like I'm trying to throw a punch and less like I'm trying to jab you in the neck. That being said, Josh Manson, let go of the stick entirely.
Yeah,
like,
man. Don't play with that fire.
Don't hold it. Yep. Not a good move.
Because the Avs needed you in this game in more ways than one. A lot of changes for the Avs going into this game. Arturi Lehkonen out. Sam Malinsky out. And then Nick Blankenberg was a scratch. And in is Manson, Kivi Ranta, and our boy Shaka Khan was in as well in this game. And then obviously you had the change in net with Mackenzie Blackwood getting the start. Yep. We'll get to him in the second segment, but you could not afford a game misconduct, Josh Manson.
No,
you could not afford that. And this was early in the game. This was before this was what led to their first goal.
Yep.
For Minnesota. Granted, they got it in the second half of that 4 minutes. So the power play ended. I was almost like, okay, that like, yeah, sure. You'd love to come out of that with no goals against, but you didn't lose Manson for the game, and they got one on you, and you have 90% of the game left to go.
Yeah,
we're good. And then with how the Avalanche played, I felt very good about how they were playing. Again, doesn't guarantee you the win, but we were having great conversations in the Discord of, man, if the Avs can play this way, I like their chances. And I like their chances whenever they play this way. They were in command of this game for a lot of it. Not to harp on the ESPN stuff, but if you listen to them, you wouldn't know it. Because how many times were they saying, like, two evenly matched teams? Yes, overall, maybe still leaning towards the Avalanche. But in this game, the Avs were really in command, really in charge for large portions of this game. They had great offensive possessions. They had great transitions. This is a game that they were moving into the offensive zone kind of with relative ease. Yeah. And then your dump and chases, you were winning those battles against the boards, and then you can cycle around. This was a complete 180 from game 3, which really surprised me at how much of a 180 it was, because Minnesota seemed like they figured out a solution in game 3.
It did feel that way.
It did. And for the Avs to flip that on its head and be like, no, we're going to take this back, and we're going to be the aggressors here and impose our will. And have fun trying to do that over the course of a full 60. Good luck. Yeah. I thought this was a great performance from the Avalanche.
Well, and like you said, I mean, a lot of sustained zone time. It felt like, especially early, leading up to the Josh Manson penalty.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Avs had a lot of offensive zone possession. After his semi-arrogant comments following game 3, which you want in a goaltender. I don't want to sit here and bash the kid. He's a rookie. He's confident. Good for him. I thought he was going to stonewall the Avs right out of being able to score again. He was easily the best player for Minnesota tonight, was Jesper Wallstedt.
Yeah.
He looked on point for a lot of this game. And when you finally beat him, it's the Kadri goal that nobody got to see. But that was a beautiful power play setup. Absolutely fantastic. Then you've got the Ross Colton goal, which is an awesome cross ice. And then you've got the Parker Kelly perfect snipe. Oh my goodness. What a shot that was. And so, like, Wallstedt played great, but like the Ross Colton one, you could feel that coming on because of how much zone time you were getting. You had them hemmed in. You were doing everything exactly right. The other thing I wanted to say is the penalty kills. Yes, they do get a power play goal, but you were doing to them what they did to you in the last game on the power play. They could not enter the zone. They tried a single drop pass.
No.
Quinn Hughes tried to take it himself. They tried a double drop pass. Now, I will say, hey, Colorado, did you notice how Minnesota did 3 different entry attempts there? You stopped all 3, but they shook it up. But their blue line was just phenomenal on the penalty kill.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Ross Colton goal, yeah, you're right. Like you could see that opening up, and the way the camera angle was. Who's one that made the pass to him?
It was
it wasn't Taves, was it?
No, dang it. Who was
Ross
it?
Colton, Nick Waugh. It was Nick Waugh.
Okay.
The way the camera angle was, you could see Colton kind of just back up a little bit, and that he had just a lane, and it just the way the camera angle was, you could see it materializing, and like there it is, it's opening up, the seas are parting, and credit to Waugh to get it to him, and credit to Colton for putting it in the back of the net. And then you get the one, so you get him getting his first, and then you get Parker Kelly getting his first. So, like once again, like your depth guys standing up. Nathan McKinnon, his nose is going on every, north, south, east, west every time he gets hit there.
Actually,
wow.
I think it's going to be like Christmas Vacation. Gets a puck to the nose, goes crooked. Gets another puck to the nose, goes back to straight. Normal. I don't know.
Man, that was brutal. But
oh my gosh,
brutal.
Well, and then of course it's off a Taze. Like
I know it's off. They're trying to clear it. I know.
Yep. Good play, but Makar and Taves, what a pairing.
Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. The Pistons head home tied with the Cavs after letting Game 4 slip away despite a strong night from Karis LeVert. Kuka Heel with Locked On Pistons talks it through.
Best breaking down the loss that the Pistons just had in Game 4 of this series. They lose 112-103. And I have a few quick thoughts that I want to get off before we get into the rest of the game. One, if the Detroit Pistons end up losing this series, if they were, I don't think they're going to lose this series. I still think they'll win. But if they were to end up losing this series, it will be Game 3 that you look back on, not Game 4. Game 3, they could have stolen that game. Game 3, they should have won, and they didn't, and they could have won up 3-0. They lost that one, then allowed Cleveland to get momentum. They won another one at home. Now it's going back to home, not going back to Detroit 2-2. If they lose the series, Game 3 will be what I look back on in this series, not Game 4. That's number one. And number two, I want to make this clear. This is not why the Detroit Pistons lost the game. We will get into why they lost this game in just a second. But I need JB to speak up about this. I need JB to speak up about this, and I need somebody to ask this publicly. The Cleveland Cavaliers took 18 more threes than the Pistons. 2 or 3 of those threes by the Pistons were at the end of the game with 30 seconds left when they were just chucking up something. So really, they took 21 more threes than the Pistons. They also took 23 less twos than the Pistons. So look at those shot profiles. One team took 20 plus more threes. Another team, the same team, took 20 plus less twos than the other team. But the team with that shot profile of taking threes and being perimeter centric had 22 more free throws than the Pistons. The Pistons had 12 free throws in this game. The Cavs had 34 free throws, despite the fact that they had infinitely more threes taken and didn't live in the paint nearly as much as the Pistons. The Pistons had 62s taken and only took 12 free throws. The Cavs played the entire first quarter and didn't get one foul called on them. The entire first quarter. The Pistons had 9 in the first quarter. That's not why they lost, but I had to go on that rant real quick. I need JB to say something publicly. Someone has to say something, because I don't think I have ever seen that in my life of watching basketball. 2 team shot profiles looking that different, and yet the team that was more perimeter-centric had over 20 more free throws than the other. I have never seen that in my life. I need someone to look it up. Never seen it. Nonetheless, let's get into the other reasons why the Pistons lost this game. I mean, it's pretty straight up. Cade did not play well in this game. 7 of 16 from the floor. Another high turnover game from him. 5 turnovers. Jalen Duren, we'll talk about him later. I really don't even want to spend time on him in this segment, because we're going to spend the entire second segment talking about him. Ausar Thompson played the worst playoff game I've ever seen him play. There has not been one moment of Ausar Thompson's career, and I have watched every game of his career. There's not been one time where I've ever watched him and said, he looks rattled. I've never said that in my life. Watching him in that first half, and really into the third quarter too, he looked rattled. I don't know what was going on with him. We have never seen him like that before. I don't know what Cleveland did that changed their coverage or scheme or something that had him rattled like this. But I have never seen Ausar look that bad in a game, let alone a playoff game. He has been good really throughout both seasons that he's been in the playoffs. And I have never seen him look this bad. And when he's this bad, I mean, if Ausar is not going to play well, they're not going to have a chance to win the series. They just have no chance. He's been their second best player all playoffs. If he looks like that, they have no chance. They need his defense. They need his playmaking. They need his rebounding. They need all of that from him. If he's not going to play well, they will not win this series. So the hope is that we've never seen him look like that, so it won't happen again. But that, I think, was by far number one. Or number one may be a bit strong, because what I'm about to talk about in the second segment, I think, is by far number one. But Ausar, with how bad he played in the first half, definitely killed them. It hurt them a ton. They were up by 4 at half. But if he would have played well, they should have been up way more at half. And they were much better with him off the floor in this game. He needs to wake up. I have never seen him look that bad before in my life. That was tough. That was a tough watch. And the other reason why the Pistons lost this game, because like I mentioned in the last episode, I said now I felt like the Pistons had control of this series still, because the way in which they play and the way in which they win games has looked more sustainable in this series than anything the Cavs have done. But remember, I left a caveat that said the Cavs do have two guys that are capable of just exploding, going for 40. And if they do that in a game, they'll win. Do I think they can do that 4 games in a 7-game series? I do not. I don't think it's a sustainable way to rely on winning, especially against this defense. But they have guys that can do it. And Donovan Mitchell dropped 43 points. They weren't going to lose that game. He exploded. He went crazy. He scored 39 of those 43 in the second half. 39 of those 43 in the second half. And he just went torched earth. And when he has one of those games, you just kind of got to dap him up and say, good shots. I mean, if he's going to have a game when he drops 40 plus, it's going to be hard to beat the Cavs. I don't think they can do that consistently, but when he does, I mean, they have that kind of explosiveness between him and James Harden. So him playing that well, Ausar looking as bad as he did, Cade just looking, what's the word? Cade struggled in this game. He just looked, he wasn't nearly as aggressive as you would have liked to see him in this game. It felt like Cleveland was able to take him out of the game with these hard hedges and these doubles and traps in the pick and roll. He had some really bad turnovers as well in this game. Like, he had 5 turnovers. And I know we've said that if he keeps them 5 and below, you almost would live with that. But those turnovers, almost all of them were just really bad ones, and a few live turnovers that led to immediate points for Cleveland. Ausar had 4 turnovers inexplicably that just killed them. Duren had 4 turnovers inexplicably that just killed them. They were not the better team in this game by far. And the crazy thing is that in the first half, I thought they were going to be in a good position. In the first half, I mean, at halftime, I thought, okay, they're going to go up 3-1. They're in a good position. Ausar hasn't played well. Duren hasn't played well. But Karras is having the best game of his season with the Detroit Pistons. Karras had 24 points in this game, a 10-16 shooting. He was really good on defense as well. He was a plus 15 in a 9-point loss. So Karras was playing extremely well. Tobias was playing really well in the first half. And the Pistons defense, after an immediate first quarter where in the first 5 minutes of this game, the Pistons go down by 11, their defense immediately wakes back up. They only allow, I think, 8 points the rest of the way in the final 6 minutes of the game. They scored 21 in the first quarter. They scored 31 in the second. The Pistons are up by 4 at halftime. And at halftime, despite how hot Cleveland opened up, they shot 39% at halftime. They were 15 of 38 at halftime, and the Pistons were up by 4, despite the fact that they opened up the game really strong. And with Ausar not playing well, Duren not playing well, I thought they were in a good position. Now, what helped keep the Cavs around at halftime, despite how bad they were shooting from the floor, was the fact that they were 13 of 16 from the free throw line. And again, I need it explained, man. I need it explained. In the first half, the Cavs took 25 threes and 13 twos. They took 12 more threes than they did 2-pointers, but yet they outscored or had 11 more free throws than the Pistons. Again, it's not why the Pistons lost. They played poorly. But again, I just need someone to look it up and tell me if we have ever seen a discrepancy like this in a shot profile, and it favored the other team so massively. The team that was perimeter centric the entire game. I've never seen it before. Like I said, I know that's not why they lost this game, but I'm struggling not to bring it up and complain. Like it's so shocking to me. I've never seen it I've just never seen that happen before. But look, Paul Reed played incredible in this game. Something we'll talk about coming up. I cannot wait for this second segment because it's going to be it's going to be something special. I'll tell you that much. But look, the Pistons didn't deserve to win this game. They were sloppy all game. They turned the ball over 10 times in the first quarter. They turned the ball over a ton in the second half. 3 of their starters were basically non-existent. Duren was non-existent. Duncan Robinson was non-existent. Asar Thompson played his worst playoff game of his career. Cade was not nearly as aggressive as you'd like to see him play. In the third quarter, within the first 6 minutes, I believe the Cavs went on a 24-0 run in the third. The Pistons went the first 6 minutes, I believe, of the third quarter without scoring, while the Pistons called 2 timeouts, by the way, during that run, and the Cavs just went scorched earth and couldn't miss, and they scored 24 straight points before the Pistons were even able to get a point on the board. It might have been 22, somewhere between. It was either 22 or 24 straight points before the Pistons scored. They didn't deserve to win this game. They played poorly, very, very poorly, and we'll talk about some things they can adjust to, some things that can change, but flat out. If 3 of the Pistons starters are just going to be non-existent and they're going to allow Donovan Mitchell to go off for 40 in the second half, you're not going to win basketball games. Asar has to be way better than he was tonight. I think he will be. I have trust that Asar will be better. He was awful in this one, but I have trust that he'll be better. I don't think he'll be this bad ever again.
If you've ever opened a bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. How does Rocket Money help you keep track of your finances? It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. The Chargers added David Njoku on a 1-year deal to give their passing game another veteran target. Daniel Wade and David Drogmeyer with Locked On Chargers explain the fit.
It's all about the tight ends on today's show. We got to hear from Charlie Kohler, and he just got back from a great honeymoon and went straight to work, and we got to hear why he is absolutely a Jim Harbaugh type of guy. We also got to hear from the tight ends coach as well, and we got to hear about what this move, adding David Njoku, is going to mean for Oronde Gadsden II. And, of course, we have to get into the big splash edition. That is Chief David Njoku.
It's so funny, man, because there were so many times where we had kind of pounded the table for David Njoku to the Chargers, especially, when you're going through the Jared Cooks and the Gerald Everetts of the world, and this is someone saying, hey, trade the Browns for David Njoku. Obviously, they're not going anywhere, and, guy that absolutely put it all on the line for a team that was never any good in his time there for the most part, outside of one Baker Mayfield season. But per Ian Rappaport, the Chargers have agreed to terms of former Browns tight end David Njoku, giving him a 1-year deal worth up to $8 million. Yeah, this is an interesting move. Obviously, the Chargers adding strength to strength in this move, but I think it's more about a numbers game, right? Like, we knew the Chargers needed another tight end. There wasn't an undrafted free agent or anyone on the roster else other than Oronde Gadsden and Charlie Kohler that were kind of sure roster locks or really had anything but question marks next to them. They needed another guy, and it's great because they're getting a guy that I think probably has a more well-rounded skill set than the guys that they have right now, right? He's not just a receiving guy. He's not just a blocking tight end, which has kind of been the rub, for Charlie Kohler and Oronde Gadsden. But also, you get a guy that you can hope, to get more out of, because you don't necessarily need him to carry the bulk of the offense as far as the tight end production. So a move that I like, right? In a vacuum, obviously not comparing it to any other moves the Chargers have made or have not made. As far as a roster standpoint, you're getting another weapon in this offense, a guy who still has some juice. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's just another weapon for Justin Herbert, another way to make this offense more multiple, a guy that can give you a little bit of everything. A guy that has a good enough frame to be able to be an effective blocker. He can absolutely move. He has good strength. Obviously, we know what he can do as a pass catcher. Obviously, he's been dealing with a little bit of injuries, has missed some time over the last couple of years. So that's probably the biggest concern when you're talking about David Njoku. But when we're talking about an up to $8 million, that means that the base is much lower than that. And then incentives are going to have to be what gets him up to that $8 million range. I just think this just makes this tight end room a lot more complete and a lot more dangerous for the rest of the league.
Yeah, I think it absolutely does. I mean, I believe that for this group specifically, to get him who has, so much of a track record, even if it hasn't been as recently where he's had a ton of success, what he is. He is a known commodity. And right now, there's upside to Charlie Kolar as a pass catcher. There's potential upside maybe for Rondé Gadsden to become kind of a more complete tight end and not be a liability in blocking. But this guy, can do both. And I think that's what I saw. I mean, he's definitely coming off of a couple of down years, but I would say the first thing, great hands, right? Highlight reel last season of just contested catches he was making, 9 out of 12 overall in contested catches, only 2 drops season on 46 targets, a red zone weapon, right? Someone that can win not just by going up over the top, but someone that has the frame to kind of box guys out as well, and also win with physicality on his routes when things get a little bit more condensed, right? That's not really what a Rondé Gadsden's game is. He works better when he's in space. There's a lot of times you saw last year with David Njoku where he's kind of manhandling his way into an open position in the end zone, and that is something that I think is valuable. And I think as far as, what he still brings to the table, I still think, watching him, you can still see the juice after the catch. Maybe not as many guys getting hurdled these days, but if you're not careful, it could still be you ending up on the poster. 17th out of 38 eligible tight ends in yards after the catch per catch at 5.0 yards after the catch per catch. Only 3 missed tackles forced. But I do think also, he's big enough to become an impact blocker. I think he lacked consistency there and maybe want to a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is a move that you're thinking that they're going to looking for a bounce back, right? Yeah. Last 2 seasons, last year, 12 games, 33 catches, 293 yards. 2024, 11 games, 64 catches, 505 yards, under 8 yards per catch. But obviously also plagued by a just truly horrendous group of quarterbacks that he's been forced to play with, and was also surpassed by Harold Fannin Jr., who became a bigger weapon in that Browns offense, or just kind of a more young up-and-coming guy. So I think this is something where it's man, if this dude bounces back, you're going to have a hell of a player on your hands. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think for Mike McDaniel, the pitch is hey, look what I just did with Darren Waller, right? I had him on limited time, and I got him 6 touchdowns last year. I think that's
after being out of the game completely, too.
Yeah. And in a major red zone threat. So, I think that would be one of the things. Obviously, getting to play with the best quarterback that he's ever had in his NFL career obviously is going to be a big selling point as well for David Njoku. And also, he's been in Cleveland his entire career. The dude's never been able to win, never had really any chance to win anything. And the Chargers obviously haven't got the job done, but they've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. So you want an opportunity to go win and go be playing meaningful games in December and in the playoffs, and you want to have that chance. Say what you want, but the Chargers have been there in back-to-back years, and everything that they have done has positioned them to do that again and be competitive again in 2026.
And I think the nice thing about this move is you didn't really need to do it, but it does help. And you had 2 guys you feel really good about in Rondé and Charlie Kolar, but at the same time, now you look at this room and it's it looks like one of the best tight end rooms in the NFL with what it can bring to the table, and it's easily the best tight end room that Justin Herbert has ever had, for sure.
It is no question about it. two guys that are real, legitimate pass-catching threats with Oronde Gadsden and now David Njoku. Also a guy who has some untapped potential as a receiver in Charlie Colder, something that he just really didn't get the opportunity to do, but was one of the reasons why he wanted to come here is because you might have more of an opportunity to do that. And with Mike McDaniel, everybody is going to get fed. There's going to be opportunities for everybody to get their chances. And, that's why this is so exciting, because these guys will bring real deception with their ability to, run block and to be able to, be serious threats as a pass catcher. And Justin Herbert has already demonstrated that he loves his tight ends. If you can get open, Justin Herbert is absolutely going to find you.
Well, and I mean, just look at what this room looks like compared to really the last two seasons, right? Like you're talking about 2024 when Jim Harbaugh takes over. That's a room that has Will Dissly, who's not even the starter, right? It was Hayden Hurst who was going to be the starter, and then Will Dissly, and then that was pretty much it, right? Stone Smart, I think maybe was hanging around then. But then also you look at last year even, right? You replace Hayden Hurst, that doesn't work out. You bring in Tyler Conklin, right? You have Tyler Conklin backed up by Will Dissly, and then you have a total unknown and an Oronde Gadsden who was not even that high on the depth chart because he was behind Tucker Fisk, right? So to have this version of Oronde Gadsden, a guy who was a healthy scratch the first 2 weeks of the season last year, to have him, be up at the top, but then to also have a Charlie Kohler who they've shown you major, and with their money, they've shown you how valuable they believe he's going to be. And then also you add in David Njoku now, who is that proven commodity. But you're right, like you can get a little bit, crazy with the kind of mismatches that you can create now that you have all of these different weapons, and also you just build that depth. But like Justin Herbert had, Hunter Henry as a rookie, like that maybe, up until last year with Oronde Gadsden was the best he'd had, but then it was Jared Cook as his leading tight end. Then it was Gerald Everett for a couple seasons as his leading tight end. Then it was Will Dissly as his leading tight end. You know what I mean? And he's consistently given tight ends the career best years they've ever had. You also throw into the mix, you have someone like an Alec Ingold, right, who can play some tight end as well, can run some routes, has played tight end, and will do that for some snaps this year. And he is someone who's really mobile, right, and brings even a different kind of skill set. And even Scott Matlock, who we'll talk about later on the show, who's moving to tight end full time. But I think this is tipping a little bit of what Mike McDaniel wants to do offensively this year.
Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. The Iowa Hawkeyes rewarded Ben McCollum with an extension after his historic first season in Iowa City ended in the Final Four. Trent Condon with Locked On Hawkeyes lays out what it means with Spencer McLaughlin.
A new contract has been reached with Iowa and Ben McCollum. Now, this negates what was signed just a year ago. This is a brand new contract that will run through 2032. Just an extra year that was tacked on to the backside of this, but there is a raise that goes along with it, and over $1 million per year that is going to go up for Ben McCollum. Now, obviously, what he did throughout the course of the season, including in the NCAA tournament, triggered a lot of bonuses for him this season, and those bonuses still are going to be there, and the opportunity to build on what this base is. But the base goes up basically $1 million a year, plus that extra year that is on the contract. Next year, he'll be making $4.35 million, up to $4.45 the following year, $4.55, $4.65, $4.75, $4.85. Basically going up just a little, $100,000, just a little bit. Easy for me to say, right? I would definitely like to trade contracts with Coach McCollum at this point in time. But that final year of the contract, $4.8 million is where it is. Now, here was some of the sticking points, or at least what we wondered after the agreement was talked about last week, is what the buyout number is going to be. As we know, North Carolina was very interested in Ben McCollum. They wanted to conduct an in-person interview, according to Matt Norlander from CBS Sports, and Ben McCollum said no. He was good. Didn't even go through the interview process, and A, shows you how well-regarded Ben McCollum is, and secondly, what he wants to do, what he's striving to do in the home state school. A guy like me, like most of you that grew up a Hawkeye fan, the importance, and we talk about us guys in our mid-40s, what Iowa basketball is, the importance. It's something that I talk about here often, and you can feel that same kind of thing from Ben McCollum and getting Iowa basketball back to the winner that it once was and becoming now a consistent winner. You know, as you hear Ben McCollum speak, the process that goes into it, it's something that is very difficult to kind of put your thumb on exactly what it is. It's if you know it, you see it kind of thing. But with Ben McCollum, it's not just the coach speak. He really believes in the way that they're building the foundation of this program. And year number one was great because of what happened in the NCAA tournament. And even without it, it was an exciting year. A lot of good moments. There were some frustrating ones in there as well. Inconsistent, certainly, but you look forward and you look at what this program still can be, and you need the investment that goes along with it. And listening to Beth Getz and talking to her last week, you definitely get that perspective that the investment is going to be there for Iowa men's basketball. Not that it was left behind, but there were other things that took over. And of course, the football program is what drives everything economically and certainly attendance-wise for the athletic department, ticket sales, the TV revenue that comes in for Iowa football. You can never let that languish. Coupled with, obviously, what happened with Caitlin Clark. You had a generational player make her way through Iowa City. And with that, as we turned into the NIL era, there were certain things that needed to be dedicated to the women's basketball program. Wrestling, obviously, what happens there, and some of the other sports. And men's basketball was, I don't want to say left behind because that's not fair, but it was not at the forefront of things. That definitely, I think, is a perspective that we all can see. Well, now it's back on the front porch, as it should be. The importance of Iowa basketball, what it means for so many people, and to have it back, to have the coach that you have now is a huge, huge component. Well, the buyout figure was something I found interesting. And look, Ben McCollum has another great season coming up this year, and a Kentucky comes calling, whoever comes calling, and blows Iowa out of the water in terms of money, and that's what it is, and he wants to take one of those blue blood jobs. Those opportunities very well could be there again for Ben McCollum. The buyout number is not going to matter. The buyout's going to be $5 million after this season, $4 million the year after that. It dwindles by year 5 down to $1 million, and if it gets all the way to the end of the contract, there is no buyout that is there. But also remember, if we continue to see Iowa basketball have many of the same successes that we saw this season, there's going to be new contracts that come. There's going to be more money that is invested. And speaking of Beth Getz, that's something that she's also talked about. She said that the philanthropic investment from some of the big money donors out there, to paraphrase, definitely went up for what we saw during the NCAA tournament, as you'd anticipate and what you hope for. And they definitely got that. So it's an exciting time. Look, the details, at least we have a few of them and a few things that you can look at year after year. Another big component I was wondering about was the assistant coaching pool. That also increased. Tyler Tashman, looking through the contract, had this, the minimum annual salary for the assistant coaches and support staff increases another $100,000, $107,500 to be exact, for the contract that was signed a year ago. So more money that's going to go to those assistant coaches. And those are going to be guys also that are going to be in demand. Look, he brought so many guys that he has connections to, and brought so many of the guys with him from Drake, not just on the hardwood, but the coaching staff. And that's something that Ben McCollum in the beginning was very upfront about. It's not just going out there and getting guys that have been through the Big Ten, have been through the Power Four, those kind of things. That really doesn't matter to Ben McCollum. It's about working with guys, working with people who understand what he's looking for. And he definitely has that connection. Went out and got Luke Barnwell from Texas Tech. Previous connection that those two guys had. That was a big, big get that they got a year ago. The excitement, it is through the roof. There's no doubt about it. What Iowa basketball is doing at this point in time is absolutely huge of what they were able to do in year number one of this program and the successes going forward. Some other things, the bonuses. Well, that's always interesting too. You get a conference championship, $75,000. Now, I would argue, as somebody that is graying, you can't see it, I got my hat on today, if you're watching this on YouTube, and thank you for that. Hit subscribe while you're here. I'm an old man, and I've never seen a regular season title. The last one happened in 1980. I was born in 1980, April of 1980. No, 79. 80 was the Final Four. Goodness. That should be even more. I mean, double that thing, triple that thing. If they get a regular season title, whew, look out. All right. Other bonuses for Ben McCollum in the new contract that he just signed. Conference tournament championship, $50,000. All right. We've seen those. That's great. Would love to see another one of them. NCAA tournament invite, that gets you $50,000. You make it to the round of 32. There's another $75,000. $100K if you get to the Sweet 16. Elite Eight, $150,000. A Final Four, $200,000 as they bump that thing up even more, and winning a national championship, $400,000. On top of that, academic bonuses that are available, Big Ten Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, a lot of bonuses in there, and let's hope that Ben McCollum hits each and every one of those, because I think all of us would be supporting both, not just going to games and wearing the t-shirts and getting excited. I think we could all, if you're able to, certainly chip in a little bit to make all that reality. Ben McCollum's got the new contract, and with it, a lot of excitement continues for this Iowa basketball team. The raises there, well-deserved for Ben McCollum.
That's all for today's Big Six in 60. If you follow basketball, football, or college sports, the Big 3 in 30 has a half hour on the biggest news in the NFL, the NBA, and on campus, going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 in 30 NBA, the Big 3 in 30 NFL, or the Big 3 in 30 college, wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big Six in 60.